Well, it's been another week, and Tilly Norwood. I don't know if you've heard about
I have,
it.
yeah. Uh, ooh, that's good. Her?
Yeah, I'm not
It?
referring to the technology with a
Uh,
pronoun. Tilly Norwood is apparently the hottest virtual AI actor that's made a splash.
yeah. I mean, we can go different levels on this, but for those who don't know, there was a studio that created, I think it was supposed to be a parody, but it made big
Yeah,
splashes because they created this quote unquote celebrity that is purely artificially generated. She has probably blends of the qualities of all the it girls of old and recent, all combined into one.
yeah,
And it was supposed to be, I think, just a hint at where a dystopian sort of entertainment world could look like, where everyone has uh, their own personal bubble of entertainment, and you see what you kind of want to see, or it's an amalgamation of everything that's out there, and then out
yeah.
comes this Tilly Norwood stuff. So it spurred a lot of conversation, particularly around where the entertainment industry is going. Uh, I guess a manifestation of a lot of this concern around being able to create fakes that look really, really real. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, where do you want to start, man?
I this has been here for a long time,
Right.
and it's now just finally getting into like the public zeitgeist. Like we've been capable of doing this for years now. I would say
I mean, it's gotten
generally,
better. It's gotten better to the
yeah,
point where it's much less detectable now.
yeah. There's a Guardian article. I'll try to remember to link it. And it they did a little teaser video on YouTube, and it's pretty wild. Like
Hmm.
it's it's pretty real, but it's also not at the same time. Like if you kind of know what to look for and the clues of like the context of the environment that people are in, it feels much more like a video game than like real life.
Hmm.
Like this kind of a studio setup would not be in a AI generated video. It would give some sort of like generic podcasting look that might fool a lot of people too. But the people very, 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 very good.
Hmm.
I the lighting also pretty good. Like hair movement and stuff was a little bit off.
Mannerisms. Yeah.
Physics, yeah, it was still a little off. Yeah, emotional kind of stuff was pretty off. But you had to look for it closely, and I think that the thing that I'm at right now is like this is inevitable. It's going to happen. It's going to continue to get better. But we've now, I think, officially entered an era with OpenAI releasing Sora 2, which we should talk about, where you
Very
can't
closely
believe
related.
anything you see on the phone or your internet. Like we've joked about that for a long time. We joked about it on the podcast. We're there. Like you cannot believe anyone who calls you on the phone. You cannot believe any video you see. You cannot believe any photos because it's very likely to be fake, right? AI, and there's almost no way to detect it reliably either. And not that we have to live in some paranoia delusional bubble, but the reality is anything shocking or anything urgent that comes in a voice, video, or picture form, you can't trust anymore.
Yeah.
And scams have been going on for a long time with voice synthesizers and all this kind of stuff. Now they can just clip your voice and make it real. And this video, again, I'll try to remember to link to the Guardian article. The Guardian article is titled "Tilly Norwood: How Scared Should We Be of the AI Video or the Virtual AI Actor?" If I don't, but I don't think we should be scared. We have to really start having the conversation around how do we want to deploy this technology? How do we want to regulate it? And I've said before, we should not be just regulating this so it doesn't exist. We can't pretend like it's not possible, but we have to have regulatory labels like declared disclosure. Like the movie you're about to watch is fake or AI generated. I even hate to prescribe AI to it. It's fake. It's made up. And that's fine. It's fantasy. That's cool. But
Mm.
anything that's sort of resembling reality needs to be labeled as such. And then you have to go into the world now knowing that not everything's labeled.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are efforts to, and I think there have been efforts ever since we knew that we could generate semi-realistic video of researchers putting in what they call watermarks. I think even Google does this when they use VO. They insert some sort of watermark into the video. You may not be able to see it visually,
Yeah.
but if you looked at the data, you could see that, by the way, there's a digital signature here that
Yep.
says this was artificially generated. So I
That
don't
assumes
know.
nefarious acting people are going to use off the shelf technology, right?
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
There are also algorithms that do the reverse, where given a video, you can actually, it's still a research stage, but you can apply certain types of algorithms, predictions to see how likely it is, just like you could do with text, how
Yep.
likely it is that something was generated by an artificial intelligence. Doesn't mean that it's entirely accurate, but there are efforts being done to at least present that information. I
Yeah.
do agree with you, though, that we should make it explicit that any organization entity that produces this should have some sort of disclaimer or some sort of indication that it was created and it wasn't real. Um, but this is kind of it's the same trend that we saw with social media, where you
Yeah.
had people publishing quote unquote fake news. It's something we're still battling now.
Yep.
You have people putting up information, and people just don't have the urge to go and verify. So whatever they see, they just start to assume. And I think that's a
Yep.
dangerous piece here, right? Is people are
And
seeing these and they look real, and they
it's
don't
all
go and
about the
check.
title. It's all about the
Sure.
headline.
Yeah.
Oh my God, did you see this?
Right.
I'm like optimistic in the technology. I think the technology is really cool. I think you're going to get to a point where you'll be able to see the version of the movie that is most relevant to you. You'll be able to like change the scenes within a movie. That's going to happen. Like we're probably a few years out from that, but like the choose your own adventure books
Yeah.
will come to, video games will get much more, enjoyable, fun, addicting, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of cool. Like there's a lot of, I think, positive, creative stuff that can come out of that. I also think that it's just going to your point of like disinformation or, what is a fact is already kind of in question in 2025, and it's just going to get worse and worse. And we haven't come up with great systems of determining information.
Yeah.
And to do so is really hard. And any human, I don't care who you are susceptible to disinformation. A lie told enough becomes true is real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we're at a precipice where people are starting to realize that this is possible. The reality is it's already here. And I guess that's really all I have to say. Is like I was a little surprised. I watched the video. It was pretty good. Like it was surprisingly good to me. I have a background in film and AI, and I was like, yikes. I watched it on my phone. Maybe if I watched it on a computer, it'd be a little bit different. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a notable thing to talk about. I really have, feel like we've covered a lot of these kind of topics before. I don't know that it's super relevant in terms of the things on the top of my mind to talk about. If folks are just kind of hearing this, I highly recommend. Again, I'll try to link the article. The Guardian post was pretty good. Everybody has a political opinion now. The Guardian post or the article I read was pretty factual. Like it was non-slanted as far as I could tell. I mean, everything has a bias, but I think the bigger news though is like Sora 2 was released by OpenAI, and that to me is far more nefarious. The technology itself is what it is. It's a video generation update to the previous model, Sora 1.
Sora.
I think it was just Sora. Now it's Sora 1. And the nefarious part of Sora 2 is very much the messaging behind it. He who shall not be named on the podcast has been pushing you to use it to upload videos of your friends or photos of your friends and basically create deep fakes of memories and be able to share them on like a pseudo social media way, or even just on social media in general. So like social media is already not real, and now we're literally going to just have it fabricatable. Again, I have to just call the question, why are we letting the tech CEOs decide how our society runs?
Yeah. It's a good question. I don't know that I can answer that.
Why not, Nathan?
I wish I was as powerful as you thought I was.
Yeah, right. So again, I keep seeing this debate come up whether AI is like good or evil or bad. It's like every other technology.
Yeah, it's how you use it.
It's how you use it. It's how people are using it. The nature of being on the internet means that there's a lot of anonymity, and people clearly can't handle anonymity. It's pretty obvious to me at this point. But the constant messaging of, create your own reality, in it's a little bit different to me than imagination. Like, we should encourage people to have an imagination, and daydreaming is really big with creativity as well. When we start to get to manufacture your own reality, we're now in a territory where we have the technology and the ability to actually do that, to the point where it's actually better than real life. Social media has already kind of, Instagram, I hate on that a lot, has already put out this warped perception of reality. Now we're going to be able to just generate. I don't even need to go to the beach now to take the beach photo on wherever beach no one can go. I can just generate a video image of it.
Yeah, I mean, there have been these dystopian ideas of living in your own simulation, right? Especially when VR gets that technology, you can just create it, put on a
Yep.
VR headset, and you don't even need to go or do anything. Um, I mean, trying to figure out how to steel man this case. Yeah, I mean, there have been these dystopian ideas of living in your own simulation, right? Especially when VR gets that technology, you can just create it, put on a
Yep.
VR headset, and you don't even need to go or do anything. Um, I mean, trying to figure out how to steel man this case, I'm going to take a very, very probably unpopular opinion here, right? To your point about social media already being fake, if this becomes more mainstream and people actually realize that, oh, everything out there in the social media realm is fake, then maybe that gets people to question the reality of the things that they see. I don't know. I'm trying to give people the benefit of the doubt here, but it's like the slippery slope kind of thing is once you start to realize that things are explicitly fake, then everything you assumed before may come into question too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like if I were I'm not if I were on social media and I started seeing all these fake things, and maybe I'm like, okay, well, if everything I'm seeing here now is not real, then maybe that's just who I am.
No,
What about everything that was before it?
I think like it's really easy to talk in generalities for this kind of
Yeah,
stuff, but the reality is going to be certain segments of the population are going to adapt and not. And what I think the reality is going to happen is we're going to be doubling down on the segment of the population who's already kind of struggling, who's already addicted to video games, who's already addicted to online gambling, who's
sure.
already addicted to social media. And then it's going to pull more people into it. So the people who are like, oh, the Instagram isn't really my thing. Well, as soon as the algorithm figures out what your thing is and then starts literally creating
Hmm.
on demand your reality, that's going to be really appealing for a lot of people who aren't really into it today. And so I think I kind of see two paths. I see the path where everybody just goes on the internet and just knows that it's like this totally fake world. I see people that'll just outright try to avoid it, like Luddite style, and that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And I think what we don't know, and what is the most concerning to me, is we don't know how humans are going to adapt to this. Like, we are very adaptable. So like our generation has grown up with no internet, and now the internet of the world. The generation before us didn't really do internet, doesn't really know it,
Hmm.
has kind of tolerated it. The generation after us is basically doesn't know what the world is like without it.
Without AI, yeah.
The generation without after them has no idea what the world's like without a screen.
Hmm.
And now we have a new generation, I don't know, whatever's after alpha, beta, that is going to be in a world where, content on demand content generation is going to be a thing that is just normal. Like,
Right.
going on the internet will just be like, yes, I want it to be exactly the way I want. And if I think we've learned anything in human history, is that the ability for humans to manifest exactly their desires is nothing but absolute worst case scenario for everything involved.
So again, here's another very unpopular opinion. There definitely is a study, and I'm sure you know of this, where they implanted electrodes into certain parts of rats' heads that would pleasure the dopamine centers, and
Hell
the rat
yeah. And
could
then they gave him cocaine.
yeah, basically, this idea of the experiment was if the rat was given the opportunity to constantly pleasure its set or constantly stimulate its pleasure center in its brain, it would do so until it died.
Yep.
Right? You could make the argument that that's a mouse. We are humans. We are better, quote unquote, better than it. I don't know if that's the right
Yeah.
term you want to use, but ideally, that's how we should view it. And if we are put in the same situations, I feel like many people would say I'm hoping many people would say they would not just sit there and stimulate the pleasure center of the brain until they died. I don't know.
Okay. I disagree. I disagree very strongly.
Yeah, I said it's going to be an unpopular opinion. Probably won't be strong. I don't know how much I could defend it either.
Well, and when it's like on surface, I think everyone's probably listening and like, yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. The reality is that as the technology gets embedded in our lives, let me say it differently. If we were to be able to have a society where humans could grow up without technology, and then when you turn 18, you get like the internet and like technology as we know it today, I think there's actually a chance there. The reality is it gets embedded in your life, and you as a human now are effectively programmed by the technology, because the social media companies and the technology companies do everything they can to make this addictive to adults, which means we're now training children on those same technologies, which is now literally impacting their brain, right? So now not only are you like changing focus and attention is going down because the phone is more interesting, and the 10-second clips or the 4-second clips are so much more interesting, and I can watch 1 million of them versus 10 long clips. So we've reprogrammed the brain. Whether or not you can reprogram it back, that's, I think, up for debate. It's a dopamine receptor problem at the end of the day. But now when you have kids who are just adapted in this ecosystem, they don't even have like a fighting chance. And I've talked a little bit about this, but like you get kids, you're at like a restaurant or something, and like the 2-year-old has an iPad and they're like watching some video. And like when I was a kid, we had movies and videos and TV and stuff, but like you had to go to the TV. And like, I think when I remember the point when like portable televisions were a thing, but like it wasn't really a thing. You'd see them every once in a while, but
like the ones with the long extendable antennas.
Yeah. Okay. And like, portable game machines, came out, I remember the time before it and remember the time during it. But like, I know people who are not that much younger than me who grew up with the portable gaming machine, and that's what they did in the car. Like when I was a kid, you just sat there or you read a book. And if you couldn't read in the car because you got car sick, you're screwed. Right? Because you listened to whatever stupid music your parents wanted to listen to, right?
Yeah.
So that is a profound shift now of transit and travel. It's a very simple example. With AI, we take it another step further. It's like you're not even going on Facebook. You're not going on Instagram. You're not going on TikTok. You don't have to select. Like it'll literally just start presenting you as you like it. It'll be like, oh, you prefer red shirts to blue shirts, so you're going to see more red shirts. And this stuff kind of sounds a little insane, but it's what's going to happen. Now, I'm going to negate all of that with another rat theory.
All right, now, okay, let's go.
So there's another study on rat behavior, and it looks at basically social isolation. So it was mouse or rats, I don't know, don't at me, but they found out that if there's a thriving community and there's stuff to do, it's the environment that they're in is fun, they don't barely go use the substance. And I think it was also cocaine.
Yeah.
Some of them would use it, but the instances were, magnitudes less. And what the conclusion was that, in a pro-social environment, you're much less likely to use substances that disengage you socially. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping we don't have to destroy a bunch of people in the process to figure this out. But what I'm hoping is that people will very quickly start to learn that everything on the internet is fake. And that's like the, entertainment realm. And I'm going to go back to doing things with people in real life.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that the whole touch grass movement?
Maybe people are doing it, but I think it's going to get so insane
Mm,
that, like, schools and phones in schools have been a thing for a while. It's been a problem. They're now finally seemingly everywhere starting to mandate that you have to like lock away your phone, or you can't have physical access to it. I think we're going to get to that point though, where it's like you go out to dinner and you go to like a fancy place, you're going to like not have technology around, or it'll be
mm.
very limited technology. And I feel like it's a little draconian in the opposite way. Is like, if I want to have my phone at dinner, I'll have my phone at dinner. But I think that the self-control and impulse for stuff is going to be so great that I think we're going to have to go to what will not seem like an
Forceful.
extreme measure in the future, which now seems insane.
Yeah.
And that's also what I'm a little worried about, is we're really, and this is why, again, I don't think the tech companies should have a say in how we develop our society. We as a people need to develop our society the way we want it. And it's always hard to talk about supposed harms or theoretical harms or even obvious harms if you have the knowledge. But what I hope we don't have to go through the era of history where we have to learn this the hard way. Like, realistically, I think we probably are going to have to learn it the hard way. But I guess I would just challenge folks out there to like start more proactively limiting your technology and really value in person as much as you can. And my ideal world in this is like, yeah, we'll have every kind of show, and there'd be the world's greatest TV show that you want to watch because it's going to be everything that you love and some stuff that you hate just to keep you engaged. But then you're going to go to the theater, or you're going to go to a comedy show, or you're going to go to a dinner with people or walk in the park, and you're not going to have the technology, and you're going to really value that time even more. And our society will actually flourish because we'll have kind of gotten past the internet is real. There's a lot of real stuff on the internet. Like, I'm not trying to say it's all made up or disinformation or whatever. There's a lot of really great on the internet, but it's so intermixed with everything else. I don't know that that's going to change anytime soon. I think we will have AI be able to kind of filter stuff a little bit better.
Mm.
But I'm really, really hoping that we start rejecting technology in moderation and in certain instances, and actually rediscovering what it means to be human.
Well said. I agree with that. I think that's something that we pushed before on
Yeah.
this cast, just as a topic in general. Right? Take the agency, keep your agency, do what you need to do to make sure you maintain that. When
Yeah.
you're given information, don't just take it for face value. Do the research.
And I'm hoping AI gets easier. I think another gripe I have, we've talked a little bit about before too, is the algorithm or even the AI you're exposed to is again the choice of the company that's developing it or embedding it. We really need to get to the point where our society has algorithmic choice. So if you go on X, which is Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, whatever service, you have the choice to get whatever kind of algorithm that you want to be exposed to. And the default algorithm needs to be as like bland, as neutral as possible.
Mhm.
And only then I think we're really going to start to see stuff shift, because the way the algorithm works today is it kind of funnels you into an understood grouping of people, and it kind of also keeps you trapped there. Like, it's been really interesting trying to make content on YouTube now, and finding that what should work doesn't, and what might not, what's something I do that I might not think works goes crazy. And it's really however you hit that pocket at that moment of time. And it's all what I'm finding myself trying to do is trying to understand the YouTube algorithms, because it's not that I want it to be super popular or famous or whatever, but the reality is, if you want to grow the viewer base or the listener base or whatever, you have to kind of play these games, because it's not even transparent to me
Yeah, yeah,
as a creator on the system. I'm a volunteer for Google right now,
yeah.
right?
Well,
I'm
I
providing
mean,
content for them to make money on, and at some point I'm promised that I might make money. Whatever. I'm not doing it for the money, but it's indicative of this problem that there is no transparency into why a piece of content I will put out will just rocket ship. and why it will, and some won't, and some just kind of plateau. And it's all the algorithm, and it's I have to also think about, so the same algorithm is recommending content to you on YouTube or whatever other platform you're on is trying to find your preferences, but it's also probably playing me as a creator, trying to incentivize me to create more content. Right. And it's a really strange game of mental gymnastics to try to like navigate this. Algorithmic choice would give you, the ability to actually choose your own adventure. Do you want to see political content that's insightful or rageful? Do you want to see the political content about the stuff in your area? Do you want to see, more cat videos, right? Or less cat videos? And right now you have to, you're a passive consumer of the algorithm. And what I really want to see is people given the choice to be an active participant in that algorithm, or even better, to be able to choose for themselves how the algorithm shows, demonstrates, or uses the information that they're inputting for the outcome.
Yeah, there are a few points I wanted to bring up. Like one, at least the problem with feeding into the algorithm, I think it's not a new problem. I feel like this is something that many people in the music industry have encountered.
Yeah.
Specifically, first thing that came to mind is Nirvana, not wanting to give in or quote unquote sell out.
Yep.
So it's a parallel to creating content that the masses want to see or get you the most views. So there is a creative dilemma there where you're creating stuff that you enjoy, but to make it more popular, you have to do certain things that you may not agree with. And what's the thing you do there?
In Blue Sky, a social media app some folks have discovered after Twitter was bought by Elon and became X, they kind of give you that ability today. They don't call it like the algorithm. I forget what they call it. But
of course, they wouldn't call it the algorithm.
They give you the option to kind of choose how you'll see the main feed, and you'll be able to, or you're able to kind of choose it. And then the thing I think is kind of cool, which makes it even more social, is like you can kind of share your feed with other people.
Yeah.
And so if I have a really great feed of like science or something, I can share that with other people. You can take, I can publish it and you can take it. So I don't think, and I'm not endorsing or recommending Blue Sky, but they're at least trying to give people the freedom and the choice to choose how they are interacting with the platform instead of being a passive consumer. And I think maybe that's just where my mind is right now, is that the marketing of the 60s and the 70s and even the 50s was really like training people to just passively consume. We've now created the ability for the digital consumption to be so good that no human being can counteract it or even really understand it, let alone a group of human beings. So in some regard, we've created a super intelligence.
Yeah, I was going to mention people may not even know how the algorithm works.
Right. And by definition of super intelligence, would be really clear that it's just more intelligent or has the ability to do things that a single human being can't understand or figure out, or even a small group of people.
Right.
And that's a pretty profound shift. Yes, we've had the Google algorithm and Yahoo and the music algorithms and all this stuff, but the difference with AI and content exposure and content generation on demand is that it was giving you content that was already developed. Now it's doing that in addition to developing content for your preferences. So it's like having the perfect drug, right? Not everybody tolerates opioids. So some people will try opioids or get prescribed opioids for a thing. They hate it. They vomit. It just, their body totally rejects it. Some people get them and they're addicted for life and can't ever get off. When it comes to your brain, it's kind of the same way. And I think we really, really need to be getting ahead of this in ways that, I'm fed up, not to get super political. I'm so fed up with the United States Congress at this point that they can't even, like, we're in the funding crisis now because they can't keep the government open because they can't agree on. We can't even have the conversation that you and I are having right now at a national level if we can't even keep the lights on, right? And I'm not taking a side on this, but like we as a society need to be conquering these kind of problems, the quote unquote 21st century world. Like we're still having the same arguments that we were at the turn of the century. We live in such a different, like, again, tariffs, great example. I keep hearing that, you know, the United States used to make all our money on tariffs. What year was that? It was like 1905. We didn't have telephones in 1905, right? We barely had electricity. We live in a drastically different world, and we're still having these same arguments, and it's all about the physical world, and we're barely scratching the surface on the digital world. And now we have a digital world that can manifest and create things that we don't even understand. And we have no framework to even really discuss it, let alone try to protect people from it or to give people the choice to use it, right? You should be able to use the internet without generative AI if you want to.
Oh, interesting.
Right?
I don't even know how technically that would work.
You have an AI button, I guess, or it's like the tracking. Well, no. We have this.
Yeah, like an AI internet where it's only AI.
It would be like the don't track me cookies, right? Like theoretically, and like, yes, not everybody, but if you have a don't track me setting on your browser, sites aren't supposed to track you, and most don't. Some will, but like you could have the same thing for AI. Like, don't show me AI generated content on the news, and you'll get like one article.
Hey, there's your algorithm for you.
Right?
If I can go back to the algorithm piece, so without giving too much transparency into, like, I used to work on collective intelligence. I still kind of work on collective intelligence, and the idea with the algorithm and letting people select what they want to go into their inboxes or feed. I'm not convinced that it's that easy. Especially in the realm of collective intelligence, when you're trying to make certain types of decisions that are quote unquote best for a system, you need the diversity. So letting people choose what they want to see, I think out of human nature, you'll start to restrict that diversity. You'll constrain that. So you don't get actually the mix of different types of things that you want out there, because those sort of quote unquote random mutations are what contributes to the benefit of the system as a whole. Now that's primarily applied to systems that have like a goal, like if you're trying to do something with it, whereas maybe you could reframe like this content feed in that sense. But I just wanted to make that point in having the direct experience in trying to do some of these things. Granted, I can't claim that we figured it out or we figured anything out at all. It very much is we have no idea what the algorithm's doing. So just wanted to throw that out there as something to think about.
I think to your point on the goal of social media, the goal of the companies that he who shall not be named run are to keep you on the platform. Like we've talked about this.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that's what the algorithm is tuned for, where if that's what you want to do, if you want to stay on Instagram your whole life or TikTok or whatever, I don't know. I don't know if I like that, but I guess you should have that choice. But like the reality is, like what you just described is what the algorithm already does. Right? You enter in TikTok or Facebook or Instagram or X or whatever, YouTube for the first time, it's going to give you kind of a smattering of the different graph categories that you might fit into. The first thing you click on starts your journey down some sort of a funnel, right? And like, you might twist out of it. You might jump to another funnel, but you're not aware of what's happening, and you eventually get funneled into presumably what you like, right? That's most of the content. But then there's that rage baity part where it's like, we're going to also feed you stuff you don't like to keep you on the platform, or for you to share the content to bring other people into the platform. So if you could remove those, you're going to see a lot less crazy online, I think. I don't know, we could test it, but I'm pretty confident, because it didn't used to be, the internet did not used to be this way. Right. Fair like point. The internet was a very strange place, and there's a lot of weird stuff on the internet, but like before all these stupid social media networks and graphs and all this stuff, like you had to seek out your kind of crazy, and then it was all human generated for the most part. There was some basic algorithms and stuff, but like you weren't getting exposed to nutso stuff, and it wasn't tapping into the psyche of your being to keep you wanting to come back, to keep you paranoid about all of the things that are happening in the world that you wouldn't normally hear about because they're probably not relevant, or they're so horrific that, they wouldn't be mentioned. So I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I think like this is that conversation that needs to be happening of what is the intention of Facebook? It's to keep you on the platform and get as much information about you so they can sell ads. What is the intent of YouTube? Same thing. What is the intent of Instagram? Same thing. Maybe that's not the right way to be running society. And I would say, moreover, maybe that's not the way to be disseminating information about what's going on.
I think I agree with the latter point for sure.
Because I think a lot of this stuff has developed, and it used to be, Facebook in the early days, you still went to the news. You went to the newspaper. You went to the news website, which was probably a national publication, and you got your news. Now you get your news on Facebook, or you get your news on TikTok, or whatever platform. They're all bad. I'm just giving names for reference. They're all the same. They're all very bad. And there's a lot of good stuff that you can find too, like this podcast on YouTube.
Hey.
But the reality is, like, the information source was not social media. It wasn't delivered by the algorithm. That's quickly changed, and now the legacy media, as some will call it, is dying because it used to be people would share the article on the platform of choice or comment about something in the news. But now you have whole swaths of things that are developing on these platforms that are not in the normal zeitgeist. Right. Mm-hmm. And you get on both sides, you get if you're on the left side, you think the MAGA people are crazy. If you're on the right side, you think everyone's Antifa. And the reality is both of those groups of people are pretty much online creatures. And they've been developed the real world is not a part of this. Like on the MAGA side, you might be able to argue that the Trump campaign has has leaned into it, and a lot of the established media has. You could probably make the argument about Antifa that it's probably an ideology, but it's now labeled an organization. I don't really think there's a secret meeting of Antifa where they all get together and come up with an agenda, just like I don't think there's a secret meeting of MAGA people who come together. Right. But it's these like abstract concepts that all I think pretty much developed online. And they've broken out into the real world, where it used to be the real world was brought online. And so this is also probably a great analogy for what we were talking about earlier, in that AI will generate all this content, which will then start to seep into reality. And it won't be real. It'll be the ultimate fantasy manifest. And so again, I don't want to scare people. I don't think, it could be scary, I guess, but I do think that we need to be having these conversations. The average person has no idea what we're probably talking about, and we need to do a better job of trying to break this stuff down. But the reality is there's a level of technical complexity and understanding that you need to even discuss this. Just like living in the modern world, if we were to pluck somebody out of like 1700 and drop them into New York City, they'd be killed probably instantly by a car or a bus, or like fall down a manhole, or, there's all sorts of stuff that you just take for granted that, someone 100 years ago or even 50 years ago probably wouldn't be able to cope with.
Right. Yeah. That's part of what I'm thinking about as you're talking. There are so many changes that happen over periods of time that you can argue that there's always going to be change, right? That you don't argue.
Yep. You can't stop it. Progress happens.
Yeah. Are we just in a weird spot where it feels like things are changing without any, how should I phrase this? Is there a natural process by which these sort of play out, right? We're looking at things now, seeing how potentially they can affect things, but maybe they don't actually do the things that we think that they're going to do, and they just kind of fizzle out. Or
they will, and they'll do things we don't foresee. And to your point, we're in a relatively unique time because we're in an era of change. We're always changing, but we're in an era now where the shift is happening faster than most people can kind of keep up with or understand. It's happening in almost every area of the economy and life. It's not even the economy. It's like how I interact with my video game is changing with AI. How I'm watching TV is changing. As we talked about, Hollywood movies are changing. Mm-hmm. How I work changes. How you work changes. And maybe it hasn't hit it yet. Maybe, but and we're in a new paradigm of technology. So like when electricity was first invented, this same kind of stuff was, people would see a switch flick and the light would turn on. They're like, well, how did the candle get lit? They didn't even have a framework to understand what a light bulb was. Someone had to explain it to them. And then they had to convince them to use it. They're like, that's expensive. I'm not going to pay a monthly fee for light at night. That's crazy. That's what I hear people talking about AI. That's what I'm hearing. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to use electricity. That's crazy, right? Yeah. You're going to use AI. It's going to be everywhere and everything. Is that going to replace everybody on the earth? No. Are they going to create AI Jesus? No, they're not. Are they going to create artificial general intelligence, which is this term that keeps getting thrown around? Maybe deep in the future. Yeah. But what is happening and what will happen is we're creating a technology that is good enough at enough stuff that it's like a generalist, and it's far better than anything we've had before, and it's far more accessible than anything we had before. To get information about biology used to require having to go find a university that had somebody who was in a subset of a field of biology to talk to really get what's on the pinnacle of information. Search engines came out, the internet came out. Now you can read a paper from somebody, or you could still go to the university, or you could probably call someone up or email them. Now you're to the point where AI can actually give you a pretty good understanding. Like, is it going to replace a researcher? No. Is it going to replace a person who has a lot of knowledge in biology? No. Is it going to probably make some stuff up and give you some wrong information? Yeah. But I could mash some stuff into an LLM, a chat program, and it's going to give me pretty damn good information, 80% right, call it, which is far better than a Google search would do. And far faster. I don't have to even read the paper. I can say, hey, give me some information about this paper. Tell me who else might be doing this kind of research, right? So it's unlocked a level of information access in use that we still can't get our heads around. That's really cool. But at the same time, it's ubiquitous. So I think we're hitting all of these boxes with AI that people are being overwhelmed. And again, that's the conversation I want to be having, is like, we don't have to be rolling this stuff out every minute, every day, changing stuff constantly. Like, I'm not saying we should slow it down, but I'm saying we should be giving people a choice. Like the company that I don't like, that we have talking about around in circles, because I don't want to give them any more PR, released a new model and everybody got mad that the old model went away because their AI friend left. Like, we're already here, folks. Like, we should be talking about. A lot of people hear that and laugh. There's a large amount of people who are already, I would say, addicted. Like if my software program goes away that, I don't know, does podcast editing, I'm sad, right? I'll figure out a different way. I'll get another program. I'll move on. These people had a clear emotional attachment to the program. That's not good. And is it everyone? No, of course not. Is it a alarming amount of people? Yes. But we should be having these conversations. We shouldn't be making fun of them. We shouldn't be minimizing it. But we also have to acknowledge that we're now in a new paradigm where the software we're interacting with has a deep emotional, or a potential deep emotional connection or level of integration into
capability for someone to develop. Yeah.
That we haven't dealt with before.
Right.
I don't know. Any final thoughts? You can leave it there. Doom and gloom. Unplug the computer.
No, as you're saying, we should be heditating on these sort of rollouts. It's very much reminiscent to me of something like an arms race, when you have, we recognize, like you and I, we recognize the power of AI, we recognize the capabilities of AI, and there's this sort of who I think it's Lib Boire, who was a poker player, but she has this idea of this Moloch where the incentives for a group of people to do something basically feeds on it. It's a negative feedback loop. So
Yep.
you have companies who are trying to roll out AI so that they become monopolies for AI because they need the computing power to do quote unquote good in their eyes.
Yep.
So you have these very, very large players all trying to roll out things as fast as they can because they want to be first, because that first mover advantage gives them so many other
Yep.
capabilities. And in these types of situations, it's very, very difficult to figure out how do you stop that. Because even if you try and incorporate something like regulation, people are going to find a way around it. China, for instance, has different views and perspectives about regulating AI. So you're going to find people who do these weird loopholes. So I think regulation is part of the answer. I don't know that it's going to be the only thing we can use. I wonder what else we can use as a human race to really figure out what we should be doing about these types of things.
I'm not advocating for more regulation. I'm advocating for the conversation.
Conversation, sure.
And to your point, we can't stop it. And I'm not advocating that. And I think I hear a lot of conversation about the binary choice of like, we either have to have it or we can't have it. It's already here, folks. Like, it's not going away. Like, you can blow up all the data centers. Like, it's not real. So again, you made a good point earlier about, what is the algorithm designed to do? What is your purpose for it? And I think that's what we really need to be looking at for AI is how do we want to intentionally use this?
Yeah.
Not, we have this program, we're going to mandate everyone use AI and now we're all going to be magically more productive. It's the same thing of like, let's just assume, thought experiment. A lot of people are incapable of this, but we're going to try it. That, yeah, I know, really. Let's just assume
these are awesome. I love these. Yeah.
Let's just assume that AI works for you and it works in what you do at work and you become 10% more productive for whatever reason, whatever thing you normally do, you no longer have to do that. So you work 40 hours a week. You now have, 4 hours back. Did I do the math right? Yeah. 4 hours back.
Yeah.
What do you do with that 4 hours? Mm-hmm. Right. So the general consensus tends to be you work more, you do more work, you're more productive, you add productivity. Cool. That's an option. Maybe you work a 36-hour work week. Mm-hmm. You do the same amount of work better. Mm-hmm. And so, but the conversations aren't that, right? There's the 4-day work week conversation that's happening and everyone's flipping out. Yeah. And if you look at productivity over time, humans have gotten amazingly more productive. Like, technology is magic. Like, the internet's magic. Computers are magic. Yeah, they're frustrating and sometimes don't work, but like, you cannot deny that it has made people far more productive than 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. Great. So what do? We work more hours. Mm-hmm. We need to start thinking about what does the world look like where we have more free time? We have more ability to have that dinner or that lunch out or the stroll in the park where we go to the cotton candy vendor that didn't exist because there was no one strolling in the park on Friday because everyone was working. We can live in a different society with technology than we do today. And again, this is not the 1900s. This is not the industrial age, but that's the framework that we keep thinking about all this stuff on. In the industrial age, the machine made people way more productive, but someone had to run the machine. Yeah. We're not there anymore. Like, you can tell AI to do a bunch of stuff and let it run overnight. And by the next morning, you have an hour saved maybe, or 2 hours saved, let's say. Great. Do you come in at 9 o'clock or do you come in at 11? But, people will hear that. Well, I'm just going to, I'll get fired. Well, yeah, but we need to have the conversation about, the standard workday is typically 40 hours a week in America. Part-time gets rough, but it's like 18 to 22 hours typically, depending on the state. Let's have those conversations. And that doesn't mean you should get paid less necessarily either. Maybe it does mean you get paid a little bit less. These are the conversations we need to be having of how do we want to use the technology to adapt to the life that we want to live, not how do we react and adapt to the technology as it's gone out. And I think that was the problem with the internet. I think that's the problem with social media. And I think that's the problem with the algorithms. It's not that they're evil and bad and should be banned, even though they are evil and bad and should be banned. We haven't been intentional with how we use and interact and deploy and participate in it. And that takes a little bit of work, but the same thing happened with the Industrial Revolution, right? We were locking people in buildings, we're making them work 18 hours a day. And then we got laws to say the 40-hour work week is a 40-hour work week. That's an invention of humans, folks. Like there's no eternal law that states that that's what it is.
Yeah. Well said. Be intentional. Be intentional. I think that's kind of what I take away from this, right? Whether it's the work, how much work you do, or the way you live your life. Be intentional. Don't just sit there and consume, unless that was your intention.
Thanks. Stop, cut. All right, I'll see you next time.
All right. Roll that back a little bit in the edit.